September 18, 2003 was not such a ducky day for most of the other residents of Virginia Beach and the rest of the Mid-Atlantic coast. Hurricane Isabel steamed north from Cape Hatteras, churning ocean waters with sustained winds near 100 miles per hour. This scene here, just inside Rudy Inlet in Virginia Beach, shows the bulkhead cap of Virginia Beach Fishing Center's Southside Marina already underwater. I would like to note here that just about all of this footage was shot right around the time of high tide, 1:38 p.m. Here again is the parking lot of Southside Marina with some debris that had washed over. Beyond is the home of F. Wayne McCluskey. Shown here is the top of one of the aft slip mooring piles. Just inside the inlet, the tide raced fiercely. Here's another perspective on the McCluskey home and the home of Bill Gooch to the right. This shot is taken from the Rudy Inlet Bridge overlooking the marina at Virginia Beach Fishing Center in the parking lot right up to the building, under about 2.5 feet of water. This zoom in is of the utility shed, which houses electrical supply to some of the docks as well as a diesel fuel and a parasail. These are the new floating docks at Virginia Beach Fishing Center. The shot showing how close to the top of the piles the anchor hoops are that hold the floating docks in place. The entrance to Virginia Beach Fishing Center, again about 2.5 feet underwater. This shot is taken from the north side of Winston-Salem Avenue on the vacant lot where a house was torn down earlier in the summer. Another perspective at the parasail building and a utility shed on the west end of the marina parking lot. Notice here the ramp that leads down to the fuel dock. Later in the afternoon, that ramp would flip over backwards when the wind came around to the southeast. Shown here is one of the fuel dispensers. The ramp on the east end of the new floating dock seemed to be faring quite well. Just to the left is the railing from the short access pier that leads from the parking lot. Going next door to Big Sam's, the water was getting dangerously close from coming into the restaurant. This next series of shots is at 310 Winston-Salem Avenue. Shown in the foreground is the top of the little cover that houses the water meter and water shutoffs. There are 6 slips in this marina. Not quite sure where this ice machine came from, but it's normally not located here. Here's the ramp that leads to the floating dock. Appears to be faring okay. This is looking west to east on Winston-Salem Avenue. The blue box here in the middle of the picture usually houses a trash can behind the 04 at Virginia Beach Fishing Center. Breakers on Winston-Salem. I've never seen that.
Turn off everything that's a 240 volt breaker or a double breaker.
I hope that truck gets an underbody wash when the storm's over. Here's the entrance to Rudy's Inlet Station Marina. This is a ramp at Fisherman's Wharf Marina next door. The background here is Harbor Point. It's taken from a zoom in at Fisherman's Wharf Marina parking lot. Water just overwashing into the parking lot. Here again it is right at high tide. Hello, Miss Deidre. This is one of the ingress-egresses from Fisherman's Wharf to Winston-Salem Avenue. Another perspective onto Rudy's. This shot is taken from the Rudy Inlet Bridge of a vessel moored to the fuel dock at Fisherman's Wharf. This gazebo is at Harbor Point. The little boat just in the front of it, I think, ended up on the parking lot before the day was over. The white rectangles in the foreground are the tops of dock boxes. Here's a shot of Rudy's Restaurant as taken from Harbor Point across the way, as well as Fisherman's Wharf. Some of the jet skis from Rudy Lent Jet Ski seem to be faring okay. There you see some more submerged dock boxes. The Red Dog looks lonely. The Wave Runner did not have engines that were operable, as well as a summer wind, and both vessels had to remain at Virginia Beach Fishing Center to ride out the storm. Here's another submerged dock box at Harbor Point. The floating fuel dock at Virginia Beach Fishing Center is shown here. Get a perspective on how high the tide was to the top of the pylons that held that dock in place as well. I hope you weren't bothered much by the shaky camera, as it is hard to steady it in near 100-mile-an-hour winds. Fading last shot of the parking lot of the Virginia Beach Fishing Center from Rudy Inlet Bridge. It would be okay with me if I never saw another hurricane.